Oh, this is Kids First, and I'm Benjamin Price, and today I'll be talking with Rian Johnson, writer and director of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. How are you doing today? Welcome to the festival.
Great, Benjamin. Thanks for sitting down and talk.
So where did this movie first start brewing for you? And I'm curious, was it always Benoit Blanc centric? And how did COVID-19 sort of change the path that the story ended up taking?
So a few years ago, I did the first movie, which is called Knives Out, and that was kind of the start of thinking it'd be really fun to do a whodunit. And I grew up reading Agatha Christie's books. I grew up watching the movies based on her books. I love the genre so much, and so the idea of doing my own version of that just seemed like so much fun. And so coming up with the character of Benoit Blanc in that first movie was kind of where it all started. And Daniel, Craig, and I had so much fun making that first movie. Mm-hmm. It felt like having a party, like just being on that set. We were just having a blast, and so we just kept saying, if we can make more of these, and if we can make them interesting each time and make them feel different every time, so that we don't get bored, and hopefully the audience doesn't get bored, we'll keep doing it. So sitting down to write this one, that was it. It was just kind of, okay, it's going to be Daniel as the detective, as Benoit Blanc.
The Poirot.
Whole new cast of characters, whole new setting, whole new mystery, like a whole new mystery novel. It's like opening up a whole new book. And yeah, that was kind of where it started. And I wrote this movie during 2020. So I wrote it right when the first lockdown was happening and we were all alone in our homes. And another big part of these movies is they're whodunits, but instead of being in England in the past, they're in America modern day right now. Yeah. And so it would have felt weird to have this huge thing that we all went through and not acknowledge that it happened. Hopefully we hit it with a very light touch, because it's obviously a very serious thing that happened, and these are not very serious movies, but it would have felt strange for it not to be a part of it,
Well, and this is a question more for me, to be honest. What else was Benoit Blanc up to prior to when we see him in lockdown in Glass Onion? Because the way in which he's introduced is quite delightful.
Appreciate that. We kind of find him in the middle of lockdown, losing his mind a little bit. I mean, I think prior to that, one of the things I love, and this is something that's in a lot of detective fiction that I love, every time the detective is introduced, he makes some reference, or somebody makes oh my God, you're the one who solved the murder of that ballerina. Oh, you're the one who solved that murder with the skyscraper. Yeah. You're and so the notion that he's just had this endless amount of incredibly glamorous, cool cases, and we just get to hear about a few of them. To me, that's really, really fun. I like to think he's keeping busy,
Well, and you've spent a lot of time with this character the past few years. I'm curious, how deep does your mental file go? And also, when you're writing his dialogue, how intentionally vague do you keep his past? Because we realize, we don't know all that much about him, We haven't been to the Blanc family reunion. Yeah. We don't know where he went to school.
I'm keeping it. I mean, I've got in my head kind of a growing thing of who he is, but I feel like with these movies, and this is something, again, it goes back to the detective movies or detective books that I love. Like with Poirot, the reality is you don't really know that much about him. You get little glimpses, you get his personal habits, you see how he lives, but you don't dive into a deep backstory of him. I actually think that's really important. To me, what's important, even when you have somebody as magnetic as Daniel Craig, as big a movie star and as good an actor as Daniel Craig, to remember these movies are about the mystery. Yeah. And so his role in it is not to dive into the depths of who is Benoit Blanc. It's for him to play his role as the detective in the mystery, and for that to kind of take center stage. So I think it's fun seeing little glimpses of it, and hopefully we'll get to keep doing that and build up a bigger picture of him. But yeah, it's all got to be about finding out who done it.
Yeah. And speaking of the whodunit, how much of the mystery do you choose to divulge to a cast member when you're pitching it to them? And at what point, even in filming, do you, unveil? Not to tiptoe into spoilers or anything, but do you unveil the true?
Well, by the time I go out to cast, I have the script written.
Yeah.
So I just give them the script,
okay.
and I don't play coy with anybody. I feel like these are all such good actors.
Yeah.
They're going to do their best work if they have all the information and can calibrate their performance to that.
Yeah.
So everybody knows everything going into it. There's all the spoilers are out there.
Yeah.
But the way I want them to experience it is not by me kind of telling them about it. I want them to read the script, and that first read of the script where they can have hopefully kind of the experience an audience has watching the movie for a first time.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to experience that so they know kind of what we're going for at the end of the day,
Well, and speaking about those going off of those pre-production phases, I know that you've strayed away from table reads in your work. What do you sort of do in the place of that to know that like your cast members are locked in to these like hyper-specific personalities?
That's a really, really good question. Yeah, I did one table read like when I made my first movie, Brick, and had such a terrible time doing it. I haven't done one since. And it's weird. So a table read, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, is when it's before you shoot the movie, you get the whole cast around a table with the scripts, and you do a live reading of the script, basically. Yeah. I find it very unuseful and very frustrating because it's the first time everyone's hearing the movie and I can't direct it at all. Yes. I can't control it at all. And so what I prefer is for everyone to read the script, and then we just get together and we talk about it.
Yeah.
And so we'll get together as a big group. We'll get together in little groups. We'll maybe read through a couple scenes here and there. I feel like with this, we kind of had the advantage of the actors coming into it had seen the first movie. So they kind of knew the tonal, even though this is slightly different than the first one tonally, it's a little broader, but they kind of knew what we were aiming for. And so we kind of just show up on set and start playing with it. And I don't know what the combination of factors is, but it feels like it all kind of clicks in pretty quickly in terms of everyone getting what the game is,
I think I'm getting the call to wrap up, so I'm just going to fire off a couple more.
Oh, no, we're good.
No?
We got 3 minutes.
No,
Keep
we're
going.
good. We're
Keep
good.
going.
Sorry, I apologize.
We're not. Let's keep the party going.
Can you talk about Benoit Blanc's food-based philosophy? We had the donuts in the first one. Now the onion is in the title. It's like he's writing these now.
I think that
Where did that come from?
Well, I think he likes his overwrought metaphors.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I kind of slowly grabbed onto with him is he likes to hear himself talk, obviously, and he likes a good metaphor that he can beat to death. And so I don't know if it'll always be food-based, but one of the early things with this mystery was the idea that it seems densely layered, but the center is in plain sight. And so having him grab onto that and love kind of that metaphor, that to me is kind of the thing that's probably going to keep going. I don't know if it'll always be food. And the next one will be called, I don't know, the hot dog killings or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Who's someone you want to work with that you haven't yet, that you want to see in the next Benoit Blanc mystery, the hot dog murders or whatever we're calling it?
You heard it here first.
Exclusive.
Well, that's one of the things about doing this series. That's another reason why I'll be really excited if we keep doing this, because I love actors. There are so many that I just am dying to work with. Yeah. And the fact that in every one of these we're going to have a whole new cast, and it's going to be an opportunity to assemble like a new group and to have that experience with them. It's just kind of like, for me, it's like Halloween candy. It's just like, it's a joy. So I don't know. I don't even know if I could name a single person that, and I feel like I would jinx it if I said a name, because then I would have never working with them. But there are so many great actors out there that I would love to collaborate with. And so the notion of keeping doing these movies means I'll have a better shot at that,
And lastly, unlike Benoit Blanc, are you any good at Clue?
It's funny. I played it recently, and I remember loving it as a kid. It is just kind of you just have to grind through it and go to all the rooms and collect all the things. It's kind of like, oh yeah, this is what Clue is like. I love the movie Clue, and I love the aesthetics of the game, I guess, but I'm pretty bad at it.
You just have to go down the list.
You gotta go down the list, man. It's just grinding it out. But I guess that's what we do in the movie too. Yeah. So, but I do love crossword puzzles. That's my version of playing like a mystery game. I do the crossword puzzle every day, so I am pretty good at that. So that's one thing that Blanc and I share, I think.
Well, thank you very much for talking with me today.
This was a true pleasure, man. Thank you.
Glass Onion is in theaters November 23rd, and it is on Netflix December 23rd. This is Benjamin Price, reporting for Kids First, signing off. See you next time. Bye.